Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I am going to discuss how we use the faker library, okay, in the Postman, and how we generate the fake data for our request. Okay, so fake data means here dummy data. Now I will also show here how we use the external library, JavaScript library, which is not available in the Postman. Okay, so let's see. I have one URL here, and also I added this URL in the uh, description. So this URL we need to use to execute and generate the fake data, dummy data for our test script. We have here one request, right? Create a user request. This here we can use this to create this API method to create the user in the application. For when we are going to create the user, then we need to pass the user name, first name, last name, email address, password, phone number, right? So we are going to use the fake data like dummy data for the username, last name, first name, right? For all these details. So let's create first one test in the Postman, add request. So create a user. Now URL is same like we are using earlier, pet store swagger. So this is the URL. Okay, v/v2, and here we need to pass user instead of so pet. So this is the URL. Method is we need to select the post, and then this is the JSON body. We need to pass this JSON body in body section. Raw, selecting the JSON, paste the JSON data. So data I added. Okay, so here we need to pass the name, test name. I am giving first name. This is it will be last name. This is the user name, email address, password, phone number is numeric value. Okay, status I am passing. So now I added here some hard coded data. If I send the request, you will see user is generated. Now we are getting 200 response, and this is the response code message. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to change this data dynamically. Okay, for this we are going to I am going to use the faker API, which will generate the dummy data for our request, and then those data we will pass here at runtime. Okay, so let's execute this step under the uh, prerequisite request script. So how we do that? So first of all, we need to load the JSON data. Send send request. Okay, pass the URL. Then we have error section and response. Created two variables. One, it will contains the errors, and second is the response. Okay, so let's check here. If we are getting any error in the while sending the request, if we are getting the error, or if our response code is not 200, it means we are not able to successfully retrieve the response of this JavaScript library. So this is one of JavaScript library which we are going to access. So in that case we can fail to not loaded JS. Okay, so we can create one object like Windows object. This is array type, and here we need to, once the we are getting response, means this is the this it will give us the complete JS string which you can see here in the response. Then we can here call EVL method to execute the JavaScript code. So text JavaScript code is executed by using this method. Now we can call the Windows object, and then call the faker method. Local, I am setting up English. Okay, so it will generate the data in English format. Faker, this is faker. Now we can use the windows.faker to generate the data. Like if we want to get the username, so we just call the first name pm dot collection variable dot set. Okay, let me set the variable in environment section, uh, collections environment. So like username, because we need to use this data in our post body. So what I am going to do, I am going to first generate the data here. Okay, and then I will set up this data into the uh, collections variable. So if we want to use the username, so we need to call the faker windows.faker internet.username. Okay, let me run, and you will see one variable will create and data will also added there in the collections. You can see username is added. Similar type we can set up the variables for first name, last name, email address and phone number. Okay, so this is the, suppose that first name, here we need to use the faker.user. This is faker.name dot first name method. This is also last name, so we can call here last name method name dot last name. And this is, I'm going to create a variable with last name. This is email address. So for email address we need to call the faker dot internet dot email method. For phone numbers, this is phone number. We can call here faker dot phone method phone number. Okay, so all these information I added in environment variable. So let me send the request, and you will see these variables will be created. Okay, and date with set of data. You can see first name, username, first name, last name, email address, phone number. So if I send the request again, you will see the data will change, because this will generate the data automatically, right? Every time your data will change. So now let me call these variables in the JSON body. So this is the username. So call the username variable here. This is username. Next is the first name. then we have last name, then we have email address, here we have phone number. Okay, so now the data is dynamically added here. So runtime, first our pre-request script will execute and it will generate the new data by using the faker if library, and all the information will set in the corresponding variables like username, first name, last name, email, phone number, and after that it will send the request by fetching the data from collection variable. Okay, let me send. Okay, so now request, we can see here in the console what data is going to send. So let me send the request, and here is the console. First it send the request, get request for the figure library, then sending the post request. This is the request header, this is the request body, and here you can see the data: username, first name, last name, email address, password, phone numbers, and user status. Okay, so in this way we can use external library in Postman, and then we can also generate the fake ID, fake data like dummy data for our APIs. So in this way our data will every time it will change when it's sending the new request, right? So it will work like a real user. When user is going to create every time a new user, so it will work like that. Thanks for watching the video, and if you like my video, please subscribe the channels, share the video to your colleagues, friend, and also click on the like button.